Welcome to an unhinged film analysis of DDLJ.
Act out the movie for your date to guess.
Just let me know if it's an American movie or a Bollywood movie.
I'm pretty floored. I don't think I can do this one.
Wait, but can you actually tell me what movies they are?
DDLJ.
That's so easy.
Alright, I've never seen it.
DDLJ is like, I have like friends of different culture that have seen DDLJ. So like, I was a little upset. Like, I was a little hurt that he's never seen it.
Hello everyone, I'm Tess and I discuss fashion, films, history and culture from the Indian subcontinent, and today we are discussing the phenomenon of DDLJ. So this clip is from the series by Pop Shift and it really made me smile because I totally understand why the girl in this video is so outraged. DDLJ was released in the 90s and at this time, it's attained a kind of mythical status for the Bollywood audience. DDLJ continues to hold the record of being the longest running film in the history of Indian cinema. It has played continuously in a Mumbai theatre since its release on the 20th of October 1995. Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge translates to English to "The brave-hearted will take the bride." If you're watching this video, I assume you've watched the film, or like me, you've watched the film many times. And this film is considered to be a modern classic of Indian cinema. It was one of the first contemporary films in Bollywood where the Desi diaspora took center stage. It changed Hindi cinema creatively and commercially with its success, established markets for Bollywood filmmakers by becoming one of the biggest overseas hits ever. It reinvented the Bollywood romantic hero character and set the stage for the coming of age of the Bollywood superstar Shah Rukh. So the story of DDLJ is fairly simple. A boy and girl meet on a vacation in Europe. They fall in love and they want to be together forever. However, the hurdle that they face is that the girl is engaged to another. A storyline of this nature where lovers are separated due to unforeseen circumstances has existed in both Hollywood and Bollywood films since the early stages of the development of film industries period. But DDLJ broke records that even the director, the actors, and the producer of the film did not anticipate, as set out in a 2014 online article by the film critic S.J. Harris. To say that DDLJ, as it is commonly called, is the longest running film in Indian history is to understate its astonishing achievement. The film is a phenomenon. Raj and Simran's are the love story of a generation. There has been no equivalent couple in Western movies in the period since DDLJ's release. They are among the immortal screen couples. Much of the film's unprecedented appeal lies in the chemistry between Khan and Kajol. At times, Shah Rukh Khan is Tom Cruise. At others, he's Cary Grant, and in between, he's Jerry Lewis. When we first see Simran, she dances naked except for a towel in a routine. It's both innocent and seductive, and within minutes, we have no doubt that she is a woman for whom a suitor would cross continents in the hope of proving DDLJ's title. DDLJ has such widespread popularity because it manages to convey two entirely opposing messages. It argues that we should follow our hearts and chase happiness wherever it leads, regardless of the obstacles in our paths, while simultaneously suggesting we should respect the ways of our elders, particularly our parents, and do nothing that challenges their will. Progressive-minded viewers seize the first message. Traditionalist viewers seize the second, and both are so thoroughly enchanted by the soundtrack and the scenery and the emotion that they don't question the contradiction. So in this video essay, I want to discuss why DDLJ is such a significant film in so many ways. Also discuss DDLJ's eternal connection to Switzerland, costumes of the film, and I'm going to be referencing one of the best books that I read in preparation for this video called DDLJ Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge, a modern classic by Anupama Chopra. If you are a super fan of this film like me, get yourself a copy of this book. Let's get into this video. train main scene from DDLJ is so iconic that it continues to be referenced in Indian films today. We've seen it in films like Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, Shubh Mangal Zyada Savdhan, and Chennai Express. In 2001, DDLJ broke the continuous exhibition record of Sholay, a film from 1975 which had run in a Mumbai theatre for 5 years. In 2025, DDLJ will celebrate 30 years at the Maratha Mandir in Mumbai. If we had to categorize it, DDLJ would be considered to be a romantic musical, but Bollywood films blend various elements in creating their own distinct style of cinema. As set out in the book, DDLJ, a modern classic, an average normal Bollywood film has to be, to the extent possible, everything to everyone. It has to cut across a myriad of ethnicities and lifestyles of India, even of the world that impinges on India. The Bollywood film director aims to equally engross both the villager in Bihar and the second-generation American-born Indian in Boston. This is a near impossible task. DDLJ managed it. Aditya Chopra was only 23 when he wrote and directed this film, and the team of DDLJ, except for the producer Yash Chopra and the cinematographer Manmohan Singh, were shockingly young. It's no wonder then that the film was so fresh and such a trendsetter for its time. From the costumes to the music to the dances to the dialogue, Aditya Chopra's vision for DDLJ was that the film be youthful, fun, and playful. DDLJ was shot in 5, 10, and 20-day schedules from September 1994 to August 1995. In the book, we read that although Aditya Chopra was, according to Karan Johar, a tyrant on the sets of DDLJ had a very cozy and home-like atmosphere. Pamela Chopra, the wife of Yash Chopra and the mother of Aditya Chopra, was a major contributor to the Yash Raj film world, and sometimes she brought cooked meals and added to the sets, fixing props in Simran's household, including her kitchen set, and adding a teddy bear to Simran's room. Despite this being his directorial debut, Aditya Chopra was prepped and knew exactly what he wanted for DDLJ. Although Raj from DDLJ is usually the major point of discussion where DDLJ character analysis is concerned, it's actually Simran who provides the heart and the relatability to the film. The love story between Raj and Simran really begins to be shown with Simran talking about her dream man. And as the audience, we see shots of Raj playing rugby. She is the lens through which we view Raj and sets the tone for his character being the dream guy. In DDLJ, Simran is a British girl of Indian descent. She lives in London and her family is very conservative. She is engaged to a man in Punjab. This man is chosen by her father and she submits to this arrangement. She has given up on finding her own true love, and although Simran is very submissive and she plays up the obedient Indian daughter stereotype in the film, there is this sense of her trying to exercise her agency throughout the film.
She doesn't take full control but attempts to in her own way. For instance,
we do see that she wants to experience something for herself, a European holiday before getting married.
After falling in love with Raj, she would rather run away than get married as initially planned. During her engagement and wedding week, she resists the festivities in her own way. She is adamant that she will only wear the engagement ring that Raj puts on her ring finger. Simran, on the day of the engagement, says that she broke some bangles and injured her ring finger, so her other hand is used. Another example is found during the Karwa Chauth ceremony. She tells Raj that she will be fasting for him, so she needs to eat from his hands alone. She supposedly faints before Kuljit could feed her, and Raj, in the confusion, where everybody thinks that she may be unwell, is the first to give her water. Simran, although not a bold heroine, does try to assert her will where she can, and for a 90s heroine, that was significant.
Kajol, the actress who played Simran to perfection, couldn't relate to her character because she herself is a very confident person in real life. Simran is really a product of her conservative family background, and that perhaps made her very relatable to many young women watching her. In 2022, it was announced that DDLJ was going to be adapted into a musical in the US, directed by Aditya Chopra and produced by Yash Raj Films. The musical was titled Come Fall in Love, the DDLJ musical, and it featured Shobha Narayan, an Indian-American woman, as Simran, and Austin Colby, a white American man, as Raj. Yes, in the stage adaptation, Raj had been transformed into Raja or Raj. The change-up of Raj raised eyebrows, and the critique of whitewashing the story of DDLJ for the musical adaptation started online. Many Indian American actors spoke out stating that this was another role where they were not being represented. Tweets from the time included the following.
They cast a white man to play Raj in the DDLJ musical. What the actual?
So they recast Raj from DDLJ and made him a white guy for the Broadway musical. Y'all, I can't even anymore.
Also, many TikTok users expressed their displeasure with the new Raj. This TikTok user shared the overwhelming sentiment.
Excuse me, have you seen Ruth? Brown hair, smile that would shake the earth, hates peas.
A white man broke in today.
A white man? No!
So other differences in the stage adaptation were that the lead characters lived in Massachusetts, meeting as Harvard students in the US, and this DDLJ was more American. In August 2022, reacting to the backlash, Aditya Chopra released a statement where he explained that in his draft version of DDLJ, he actually involved a white male lead. Apparently, his first choice was to have Tom Cruise as the lead in DDLJ. Explaining his goal is to showcase Indian culture to a global audience. That is the starting point of Come Fall in Love, the story of Indian Simran, her culture and heritage through the eyes of American Raja. When I read this, my immediate thought was, would DDLJ have been the powerhouse Indian film that it is if Tom Cruise was in the lead in the 90s? And respectfully, the answer is no. Although the reasoning for Raj in the musical is quite interesting and it has some context to Aditya Chopra's vision, it could be argued that there are various elements that made DDLJ the movie a modern classic. An integral part of that is that Raj Malhotra was portrayed by an Indian or a South Asian man. The movie's success had a lot to do with the perfect timing, the rise of a new generation of moviegoers in India and overseas, the change in Indian culture and society. Shah Rukh Khan himself, Raj Malhotra ushered in the new Indian man, a man who felt equally at home in a club in Paris as he did in a village in Punjab. Raj Malhotra understood the parameters of both the East and the West because he was a combination of both the East and the West, and that is why Raj Malhotra was appreciated so much by the audience. Tom Cruise would not provide this nuance in any way. Raj Malhotra means something to South Asian people. He spoke of his Indian values in the film, despite being someone who clearly lived a very Western lifestyle. Having someone who is not South Asian play this role negates the progressive value and the significance that Raj Malhotra meant to Indian films and to representation for South Asian people. Before Raj Malhotra, Shah Rukh Khan was not considered to be a romantic hero. He was really persuaded by the director Aditya Chopra to do this role in this film. And I discussed Shah Rukh Khan's characters in this YouTube video titled Why Do Women Love Shah Rukh Khan? I'll put the link to the video in the description box below should you be interested in Shah Rukh Khan characters and the female gaze. If you watch the Netflix series The Romantics, which I suggest that you do, Aditya Chopra sets out his reasoning as to why Shah Rukh Khan was the actor that he ultimately envisioned as Raj Malhotra, confirming that Shah Rukh Khan had an edge. He played more villainous and darker characters in comparison to his contemporaries at the time. Raj Malhotra is a rich second-generation British Indian. Born and raised in London, he is cheeky, flirtatious, and charming, but under the bold demeanor, we as the audience see that he is in fact a good-hearted and upstanding Indian guy. Aditya Chopra wrote Raj Malhotra to be more impudent than the other popular Bollywood hero characters of the 90s. An interesting did you know fact is that in Aditya Chopra's screenplay for DDLJ, Raj's full name is actually Rajnath. I have never heard that, so I thought that was so interesting. And his full name is never really used in the film. He goes by Raj. And at first we see Raj as very flashy, very cool. He's very unbothered. He's kind of like a playboy. He fails at university. He buys beer from a convenience store. He flirts with multiple female characters in the film. And he really challenges Simran throughout the first half of the film. She doesn't even really seem to like him much for the first half of the film. The scene that really changes the audience's view of him is this scene. When he plays a prank on Simran, tricking her into thinking that they had spent the night together. And when she becomes emotionally distraught at this, he vehemently reassures her that he would never do that to her. So to further reaffirm that Raj is in fact a good guy, we have this other iconic scene where he tells Simran that he will not elope with her, but he will win over her family. In the 90s, this was a very revolutionary stance by a Bollywood hero. As he spends time with Simran's family, we notice even more distinctive qualities about his character, and this is set out well in the book King of Bollywood, Shah Rukh Khan and the Seductive World of Indian Cinema. DDLJ set up a new heroic prototype. Raj was trendy and traditional. Depending on the situation, he could be progressive or conservative. Though he single-handedly beat up several bad guys, he wasn't overtly macho. In DDLJ, Raj sits in the kitchen and peels vegetables with the women of the house. When Simran does Karwa Chauth, a North Indian ritual in which women keep a day-long fast for the good health and prosperity of their husbands, he starves along with her. In his participation in these rituals and his ease in traditionally female spaces, Raj is unlike the swaggering he-man heroes of the past. He is sensitive, vulnerable, and not afraid to cry. But he also has the strength and guile to outwit the more blatantly chauvinistic in the film, Simran's father and her boorish fiancé. Raj was the new Indian man. Critics of DDLJ would argue that Raj's character, in seeking Simran's father's approval for the marriage, upholds patriarchal values. Why isn't Simran's consent enough for him? And this was really considered in the book Desperately Seeking Shah Rukh by Shrayana Bhattacharya. And the writer has a very nuanced and interesting perspective after her research when she spoke to Indian women on Raj wanting to win the family's approval. In this excerpt, she discusses this. For Manju, the fact that Raj avoided the easy route for a man of running away and cared enough to stick around, compromise and fight for approval to ensure Simran was not cut off from her kin, was a measure of his strength and maturity. In this light, Raj was radical. Where earlier all I saw was capitulation, I began to see bargains and trade-offs. I started to realize that the act of rebellion can look very different when women are rendered dependent on the family for protection and provision. Expecting a woman in this landscape to demonstrate dissent by cutting ties with her family, the only institution that provides her material security in the absence of a supportive state, is perhaps asking for too much. Many Hindi films dramatize this essential Indian conflict in which women express their desire to marry someone whom the family deems inappropriate. DDLJ was different because it took a gentle, more understanding approach to the real and complex bargains involved in following through on such radical desires. Research on working women and women's collectives tell us that familial permission plays an immeasurably important role in South Asia. What the film shows is that freedom is won through incremental negotiations, that dialogue amongst loved ones can be a path towards social change. The fact that we must invest significant effort to bargain for those freedoms is sad, but also reflects our social realities across class. This is what made Raj and Simran so unique from the Bollywood lovers that came before them. In the book King of Bollywood, Shah Rukh Khan and the Seductive World of Indian Cinema, the writer sets it out best. But unlike generations of Bollywood lovers before them, Raj and Simran don't elope. Simran is willing to run away from her family, but Raj refuses, saying, "I might have been born in England, but I am Hindustani Indian. I've come to make you my bride. I'll take you only when your father gives me your hand in marriage." DDLJ asserts that familial approval is essential for love to thrive. Aditya Chopra saw the success of the family value system featured in films like Hum Aapke Hai Kaun and Maine Pyar Kiya and adapted it to DDLJ in his own way. Through his obsession with Hindi films, he had this commercial instinct for Hindi films and the appeal of the Hindi film audience even before making DDLJ. The book Desperately Seeking Shah Rukh by Shrayana Bhattacharya, foreign tourism from India, specifically to countries where the Chopras, father and son, set their films expanded tenfold. According to Swiss tourism authorities, over 300,000 Indians visited the country in 2017, compared to just under 30,000 in 1992. Wealthy young couples dominated this influx, with Indian honeymoon tourism becoming big business in Europe. A search on Instagram reveals thousands of tourists who visit places where DDLJ was shot, reenacting famous stills from the film. Nothing was more romantic to Indians in the 90s than honeymooning in Switzerland, and that connection has only become stronger over time, as images from DDLJ only help code and define romance for several generations of viewers. So influential was the Chopra's production house, Yash Raj Films, in stirring touristic sentiment that the Swiss government awarded Yash Chopra a lifetime service honor. In 2011, Switzerland's Jungfrau Railways inaugurated a train after Yash Chopra, an honor he shares only with the railway's founder. The train featured his signature and a name on a signboard. In May 2016, a bronze statue of Yash Chopra was installed by the Swiss government as a tribute to him in Interlaken. Lake Lunen in Switzerland is referred to as Lake Chopra. Personally, one of my favorite types of travel content is seeing Bollywood fans recreate DDLJ or the Yash Raj film experience in Switzerland. Included this TikTok user who did a photo shoot in Switzerland where, as she puts it, she recreated her DDLJ Bollywood dreams. Also, the TikTok user Afra's Travel Diary put together this TikTok where she kind of lists the DDLJ locations in Switzerland, including Interlaken
and the DDLJ bridge that is located there, called the Sannen Bridge, famous for the Palat scene in DDLJ.
And Call Me Miss Foodie, who also created such lovely DDLJ related content in Switzerland.
There are so many videos and articles and blogs on the shooting locations in Switzerland. Even more interesting is that there are official custom DDLJ tours that will take you specifically to these locations. There is a Switzerland DDLJ tour by the official Swiss Tourism Office. That alone is indicative of the power of DDLJ and its connection to Switzerland.
Even when I visited Switzerland as someone who has watched Yash Raj films my entire life, I too associate Switzerland with Yash Chopra and Yash Raj films. I posted this in 2018 to IG with the caption, "Waiting for Raj Malhotra's train like." So Switzerland and the Bollywood Yash Raj film is a beloved and entrenched frame of reference for Bollywood audiences. Before DDLJ, the overall portrayal in Hindi films of the Indian diaspora living in the West was either non-existent or a stereotype of being dangerous and morally bankrupt. DDLJ, however, changed this portrayal significantly. In DDLJ, there is an ongoing discussion by the characters in the film regarding their Indianness and their Indian values. The characters in this film were not transported to the West for an aesthetically pleasing song. They were second-generation, non-resident Indians. DDLJ did away with the westernized baddie. The most reprehensible character in the film, Simran's chauvinistic and lecherous fiancé, is a thoroughbred Punjabi. It also used foreign locales as part of the storytelling rather than as wallpaper for songs. The success of DDLJ in the overseas markets really established overseas territories as a major market for the Bollywood filmmaker. As a result of DDLJ's success, many Bollywood directors began creating films that would specifically target the urban Indian and Indian diaspora audience. Films that followed this included Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, K3G, and Kal Ho Na Ho. Many Desi diaspora parents saw themselves in the inherent characters of DDLJ, whereas the Desi Diaspora kids related to the plight of Raj or even Simran. As set out in a 2022 article for the New York Times, the film touched a nerve with NRIs who were navigating between 2 or 3 cultures. Rajinder Dudra, a professor at the Birmingham Institute of Media and English, explained in an interview. Individuals were having to grapple with the tension between Indian tradition and Western ideas, just as this movie was highlighting them. The idea of Dil hai Hindustani, the heart is Indian, was also conveyed in the film, Dudra added, meaning that no matter where in the world you were, if you were of Indian descent, you had an attachment to India. Raj and Simran are both Punjabi, second-generation British Asian. Their challenges arise from the fact that they and their families define their Indianness differently. An interesting way of reflecting on this discussion is the difference between Simran's father and Raj's father. In the opening scenes of DDLJ, the tone is set for Simran's father, Chaudhry Baldev Singh, played by Amrish Puri, who was at the time known for playing the villain role in most films. Chaudhry Baldev Singh is a stern and frugal convenience store owner. He dresses in Indian clothes and he pines for his motherland, despite him making a life for himself and his family in London for 22 years. Western culture and music is frowned upon in their household. For him, Punjab was a utopia that fed into the Desi diaspora nostalgia for the motherland. He wants to protect his children from the West. He deems the West to be dangerous and corrupt, and we see him reiterate this point of view in various scenes in the film.
This discussion surrounding Indianness is set out well in this scene between Raj and Baldev Singh. Baldev tells Raj that he even feels more of a connection to the pigeons in India rather than London. And Raj uses the pigeons to illustrate that the difference really lies in Baldev's perception that one of these pigeons could have come from London to India. And that's of course a parallel to himself, having flown from London to India to win over Simran's family. Raj again tries to indicate that living in the West does not negate your Indianness.
In a major contrast, we have Dharamveer Malhotra, Raj's father. Played by Anupam Kher, he dresses in quirky English clothes and is very jovial. Dharamveer is a millionaire through sheer hard work, we learn in the film. He is more an indulgent friend to Raj. And
there's even a scene in the film where he tells Raj that he worked very hard throughout his life so his son could enjoy his youth and being carefree.
This is totally different from the authoritarian approach that Simran's father has with his children. The easy and comfortable relationship reflects in how Raj describes his own Indianness, where he can be both traditional and trendy. As set out in the book DDLJ, a modern classic, Baldev defines Indian in the narrow, obvious ways, through his clothes, his daily rituals, and his strict surveillance of his daughters and wife. Raj expands the definition. He is unkempt, cocky, and even a badmash scoundrel. But in his heart, he is Hindustani. What makes an Indian a true Indian is not the externals. It is the Dil heart that counts. Later in the film, Dharamveer tells Baldev not to be fooled by his Western clothes because he carries India in his heart. Indian values are portable and malleable. The man in the Harley Davidson jacket can be as Hindustani as the man in the dhoti kurta. In DDLJ, Simran and her mother have little to no power in dictating the trajectory of their lives. For a film of the 90s, DDLJ does add more depth to the female characters and their understanding of each other.
The understanding and the bond between the women in DDLJ is truly one of the best parts of the film. At the beginning of the film, Lajo is clearly more of a friend and confidant to Simran and tells her that at a certain age, mothers and daughters become friends. When the arranged marriage letter comes up, we see Lajo concerned because she knows Simran. Baldev does not truly know his daughter and thinks her distress is shyness. Her mother, however, knows better. The relationship between Simran and her mother is one of the best portrayals in the film. Lajo also develops as a character. At the beginning of the film, she is hesitant to support Simran, being more of a confidant and comfort to her. But by the end of the film, she has changed. She wants her daughter to have happiness. It is Lajo who takes Simran to the train station to see Raj. It is Lajo who suggests that Simran and Raj run away. She even says later in the film that she was wrong and Simran should not sacrifice her happiness or her love like she did.
In various scenes in DDLJ, we see the understanding and the deep bond between Lajo and her daughter, as set out in the book DDLJ, a modern classic. In one of the best written scenes in DDLJ, Lajo asks Simran to forget Raj. Lajo tearfully draws on her own life. Her father had always told her that there is no difference between men and women, but when she grew up, she discovered that this was a lie. Her education was stopped so that her brothers could study. And since then, she has continued to make sacrifices in different guises as daughter, sister, and wife. Lajo's poignant words resonate with the experience of millions of Indian and South Asian women. When her daughters were born, Lajo had resolved that their lives would be different, but she was mistaken. The women instinctively know each other's pain, which men are unable to see. In one scene, Simran's grandmother asks Baldev why Simran's eyes are so sad and her laughter so hesitant. Baldev attributes it to the new place and new people and asks her not to worry unnecessarily, but his mother knows that something is amiss. Through these characters, DDLJ touches on the inequality that women face in this world, but stops short of the characters actually ever changing the status quo. So the credited costume designers for DDLJ are Pamela Chopra, Manish Malhotra, Masculine, Madhav's Men's Modes, Anjan Sen, Prachins, and Karan Johar for Shah Rukh Khan. Overall, Manish Malhotra and Karan Johar were entrusted with the costumes and glamour quotient for DDLJ. And in the book, 100 iconic Bollywood costumes, it was set out that though Kajol was not known to have a keen interest in fashion, in her role as the conservatively brought-up London-raised Simran, her look started trending. In particular, the parrot green lehenga that she wore in the song that takes place during her Sangeet ceremony. It was a modest outfit with full sleeves and gold details, and has since become an iconic representation of one of India's best-loved films. The outfit had made Aditya nervous because of its unconventional color, but Manish Malhotra wanted to use a hue that was not normally seen on screen. Green color choice was also chosen because Simran was an Indian girl of the Desi Diaspora. So the reasoning was that her take on Indian fashion would be different. I feel because she was a girl from London, she would go and wear a color that not everybody would, because girls coming from abroad sometimes have a very interesting take on clothes. Karan Johar reportedly spent hours considering bindis, bangles, and dupattas for the film. Pamela Chopra assisted in bringing brocades and pulkari dupattas from Delhi for the older women in the film, being the aunts, the grandmothers, and the mothers. When I think of Raj Malhotra, I associate him with that Harley Davidson jacket. And there's a really interesting story surrounding who purchased and got this jacket for the film. So according to DDLJ, a modern classic, Aditya Chopra asked his younger brother Uday Chopra, who we know from films like Mohabbatein, to bring him a leather jacket when he was in the US. He wanted the jacket to be cool, maybe have an eagle detail or an American flag embellishment on it. Aditya Chopra visualized that his character Raj Malhotra would wear this leather jacket during most of the film. So Uday Chopra, who was in the US at the time, went into a Harley Davidson store in Bakersfield, California, and bought a plain black jacket for $400, and history was made. We see that in this film. One of my favorite did you know facts about DDLJ is that the Indian actress Kiran Kher actually came up with the film's title. He is also the wife of Anupam Kher, who plays Raj Malhotra's father in the film. The line DDLJ is part of a Hindi film song from the 1974 film Chor Machaya Shor, and according to the book DDLJ, a modern classic, 3 years before DDLJ was created, Kiran Kher mentioned the title to Aditya Chopra and told him that she was going to use it for a script. He kept this in his mind because it had a level of playfulness and heart. He then asked her, reportedly, if he could use it, and she agreed, but jokingly said that if he used it, she wants to be credited for the title. And she was. DDLJ is perhaps the only film to ever have a title suggested by credit. Another interesting fact about DDLJ relates to this very famous yellow mustard flowers scene. Aditya had always known that the color of his film was yellow. He had visualized Raj and Simran reuniting in a swaying field of yellow mustard flowers. The image of Raj in his Harley Davidson jacket standing in the quintessential Punjabi sarso encapsulated DDLJ's Western look, Eastern values message. When they scouted for locations in Punjab, there were none. There were patches of flowers, but not the copious amounts of yellow mustard flower fields that Aditya Chopra was looking for the scene. Finally, a local suggested that they look in the neighboring Gurgaon, and that's where they found what they wanted. DDLJ continues to be a comfort film at this point for the audience because it in many ways presents an escapist reality to overcoming hurdles where no feelings of anyone are hurt in the process of change, and happily ever after can happen without a hitch. There are a couple more videos relating to Shah Rukh Khan and his films that I've done. I wanted to link those videos to this one, so if you enjoyed this video and the content in this video, you are definitely going to enjoy those, and I will see you soon in the next video.